On that silent night, while an entire nation slept under the shadows of their idols, one young man stood awake, his heart burning with a question every soul must one day face. Who is my true Lord? The city of Babylon lay quiet beneath the moon, its streets empty, its people lost in dreams they believed were protected by gods of stone. But Ibrahim could not sleep. He stood in the stillness, looking up at the endless sky, and for the first time in his young life, he felt both utterly alone and completely certain. They worshipped stone. His father carved it. His people bowed to it. His entire world revolved around it. But who would dare challenge their gods? Before we go deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. What made Ibrahim stand alone when the entire world around him bowed to false gods? What gave him the courage to speak the truth, even when it meant standing against his own father? And what happened on the day he shattered the idols? A moment that changed history forever. This is not just a story about breaking statues. This is a story about breaking the chains of blind obedience, about choosing truth over comfort, and about the kind of faith that transforms a single man into a nation. What you're about to hear is the journey of a soul searching for Allah in a world that had forgotten him. And by the end of this story, you might find yourself asking the same question Ibrahim once asked. What am I really worshiping in my life? Ibrahim grew up in the heart of idol worship. His father, Azar, was not just a believer in these statues, he was their creator. Every day, young Ibrahim would watch his father's hands carve wood and shape stone into figures that people would later bow to, weep before, and beg for blessings. And every day, the confusion in Ibrahim's heart grew stronger. How can something you shaped with your hands protect you? How can something that cannot hear you answer your prayers? How can something that crumbles and breaks be worthy of worship? These questions haunted him. He would walk through the marketplace and see people kissing the feet of statues, leaving offerings of food and gold, crying out for help, to objects that could not even swat a fly from their faces. And yet, no one else seemed to notice. No one else questioned. No one else saw what he saw. At night, when the city finally quieted, Ibrahim would slip away to a place where he could be alone with his thoughts. He would lie on his back and stare at the vast sky above him, watching the stars flicker in and out of the darkness. One night, he saw a bright star rising, and for a moment he wondered, could this be my Lord? It was beautiful, radiant, powerful. But then it set. It disappeared, and he realized, my Lord does not disappear. Another night, the moon rose full and glowing, lighting up the entire desert. And again he thought, this must be my Lord. But the moon, too, faded with the dawn. And when the sun blazed across the sky, massive and undeniable, he thought perhaps this was the ultimate power. But when evening came, it too sank below the horizon. And in that moment of deep reflection, Ibrahim understood. None of these are my Lord. My Lord does not rise and set. My Lord does not change. My Lord is not created. He is the creator. But this realization came with a heavy cost. The more Ibrahim saw the truth, the more distant he became from everyone around him. His father grew frustrated with him. His people began to look at him with suspicion. They could not understand why this young man refused to join them, why he would not bow, why he kept asking questions no one wanted to answer. And Ibrahim, though firm in his certainty, felt the ache of loneliness. Have you ever known something to be true, but felt completely alone in that truth? Have you ever stood for something right only to be mocked, dismissed, or pushed aside? That was Ibrahim's reality. But instead of bitterness, he turned to Allah. He raised his hands in the quiet of the night and made a simple dua. O my Lord, guide me to the truth. And Allah, the most merciful, heard him. Allah was preparing him for something far greater than he could imagine. Then came the day of the great festival. Once a year, the people of Babylon would leave the city and travel to a distant place to celebrate their gods with feasting, music, and rituals. It was a day of joy for them, a day of devotion. But Ibrahim saw it differently. He saw it as an opportunity. The night before the festival, he lay awake, his mind racing. What if I could show them? What if I could make them see how powerless these idols really are? He knew it was dangerous, he knew they would be furious, but he also knew that sometimes the only way to wake people up is to shatter the illusion they are living in. So when the morning came and the entire city emptied out, leaving behind only the statues in their grand temple, Ibrahim stayed behind. He told them he was unwell, that he could not make the journey. They believed him, and so they left. The city was silent. The streets were empty. The temple stood before him, towering and grand, filled with idols of every size. Some were decorated with gold, others with flowers and fine cloth. They sat there lifeless, staring at nothing. Ibrahim walked among them slowly, his footsteps echoing in the vast hall. He stopped in front of the largest idol, the chief god of the city, and he spoke to it. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Will you not eat the food they left for you? Will you not speak? Will you not move? The statue, of course, said nothing. It could not. And in that silence, Ibrahim felt both sorrow and resolve. These people have given their hearts to something that cannot even respond to them. They have placed their hope in something that cannot save them. And they need to see it. He picked up an axe. His hand was steady. His heart was pounding, but not from fear. It was from the weight of what he was about to do. This was not an act of anger. This was an act of mercy, a lesson, a wake-up call. And in that moment, Ibrahim decided to teach them a lesson they would never forget. One by one, he began to strike the idols. The sound of stone cracking filled the temple. Dust rose into the air. Pieces of wood and clay scattered across the floor. He broke them all. Every single one, except for the largest. The chief idol remained standing, untouched, and Ibrahim placed the axe in its hands. Then he left. The city would return soon, and when they did, they would find their gods shattered at the feet of the one they trusted most. If you're still watching this story, type Subhanallah. The story is about to reach its most powerful moment. But before we continue, let us step back for a moment and understand what was going through Ibrahim's heart as he made this decision. This was not a reckless act. This was not rebellion for the sake of rebellion. This was a young man who had spent years watching his people suffer under the weight of falsehood. A young man who had begged his own father to see the truth. A young man who had prayed and reflected and struggled in his soul to find the right way to reach them. He had tried reasoning with them. He had tried asking questions. He had tried showing them the contradictions in their beliefs, but nothing worked. They were too attached, too afraid to question, too comfortable in their traditions. And so Ibrahim realized that sometimes people do not wake up from words. Sometimes they need to see the truth with their own eyes. But that doesn't mean it was easy. As Ibrahim paced alone in that empty city, his mind raced with thoughts. What will they do to me when they return? Will they listen? Or will they be blinded by rage? He thought of his father, the man who raised him, the man who carved these very idols. He thought of the community that once smiled at him, that once welcomed him. And he thought of the moment they would all turn against him. Have you ever had to make a choice that you knew was right, but that you also knew would cost you everything? That is the weight Ibrahim carried. And yet, he did not waver. Because he was not doing this for himself. He was doing this for them, for their souls, for their chance to know the one true God. In those quiet moments before the city's return, Ibrahim made dua. He stood in that temple, surrounded by broken stone and dust, and he raised his hands to the sky. "O Allah, strengthen me. Let my words reach their hearts. Let them see the truth, even if they hate me for showing it to them. And in that dua, there was no arrogance. There was no pride. There was only a deep, aching love for his people and a trust in Allah that whatever happened next, it would be by His wisdom and His will. This is tawakkul. This is what it means to rely on Allah completely, not because you know the outcome, but because He is in control of it. And so, Ibrahim waited. The sun began to set. The sounds of distant laughter and music grew closer. The people were returning, and soon they would see what he had done. The moment they entered the temple, the air changed. There were gasps, then screams, then silence. The people stood frozen, staring at the wreckage before them. Their gods, the gods they had worshipped their entire lives, the gods they had trusted to protect them, were shattered, broken, lifeless. And in the center of it all stood the chief idol, untouched, with an axe resting in its hands. Chaos erupted. Who did this? Who dared do this? How could anyone commit such a crime? They were furious. They were heartbroken. They were terrified. Because if their gods could be destroyed, then what did that say about their power? What did that say about everything they believed? It did not take long for them to find Ibrahim. They dragged him to the temple, surrounded him, and demanded an answer. Did you do this to our gods, O Ibrahim? And here is where Ibrahim's wisdom shone through. He did not mock them. He did not gloat. He simply pointed to the largest idol still standing with the axe in its hands, and he said calmly, "Ask the big one, if it can speak." The crowd fell silent. They looked at the idol. They looked at each other. And for a brief, fragile moment, the truth pressed against their hearts. If this God could not even defend itself, how could it defend them? If it could not speak, how could it answer their prayers? If it was just stone, shaped by human hands, then what were they really worshiping? But the truth is uncomfortable, and instead of accepting it, they turned back to Ibrahim with anger. They do not speak. And Ibrahim, with calm conviction, replied, "Then why do you worship something that cannot speak, cannot hear, cannot benefit you, and cannot harm you? Why do you worship something other than Allah, who created you, who created the heavens and the earth, who alone has power over all things? What would you have done in their place? Would you have paused and reflected? Or would you have clung to what you were raised to believe, even if it no longer made sense? This is the test every soul faces, the test between tradition and truth, between comfort and conviction. And for most of them, the choice was already made. They could not accept it. They could not let him go. And so they decided to punish him in the most extreme way they could imagine. They would burn him alive. They gathered wood. They built a massive fire, so large that people could feel its heat from far away. They bound Ibrahim and prepared to throw him into the flames. The entire city came to watch. Some were eager for revenge, others were conflicted, unsure if this was right. But no one stopped it. And as Ibrahim stood there facing the roaring fire, he did not beg. He did not scream. He did not try to run. He simply whispered a dua that every believer should memorize and carry in their heart. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for me, and He is the best disposer of affairs. And in that moment, something incredible happened. Allah, the Lord of all creation, the one who controls the fire and the wind and the stars and the earth, gave a command. O fire, be coolness and safety for Ibrahim. The flames did not go out. They continued to burn, but they did not harm him. They became cool. They became peaceful. And when the fire finally died down and the smoke cleared, Ibrahim walked out, unharmed, untouched, as if he had simply been resting in a garden. The people were stunned. They could not understand it. They could not explain it. And though many still turned away, the seed of truth had been planted. Because that day, they witnessed something no idol could ever do. They witnessed the power of the one true God. This is the lesson, dear viewer. When you stand for truth, even when you stand alone, Allah stands with you. When you place your trust in Him completely, every fire in your life, whether it is fear, loss, rejection, or hardship, becomes coolness and peace. Ibrahim did not know he would survive that fire, but he trusted Allah anyway, and that trust is what saved him. So ask yourself today, what fires are you facing in your life? What fears are holding you back from standing for what is right? And are you willing to place your full trust in Allah even when the outcome is unknown? Because that is the essence of faith. Not certainty in the results, but certainty in the one who controls them. Ibrahim's story is not just history, it is a mirror. It reflects the struggles we all face, the pressure to conform, the fear of standing out, the loneliness of being the only one who sees the truth. But it also reflects the beauty of what happens when you choose Allah over everything else. He does not abandon you. He does not leave you to burn. He turns your trials into testimony. He turns your pain into peace. And He turns your courage into a legacy that inspires millions, even thousands of years later. So now, I want to ask you, what lesson did Prophet Ibrahim's courage teach you today? Have you ever stood for truth when no one else agreed? Which moment in this story touched your heart the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And if this story moved your heart, if it reminded you of the power of faith and the mercy of Allah, then subscribe to Modern Muslim Stories for more tales that strengthen your iman and bring you closer to Allah. Because these are not just stories. These are lessons. These are reminders. These are the voices of the prophets calling us back to the truth. May Allah grant us the courage of Ibrahim, the trust of Ibrahim, and the love for truth that he carried in his heart. Ameen.